You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
Approximate wait time is 75 minutes for a representative.
Flight 472 delayed. Please see the representative at the counter for details.
Things will go wrong for your customers, but your business can make it right with Watson X Assistant. AI that can help resolve problems by understanding your customer requests with 90% accuracy. Let's create customer service in service of customers with Watson X Assistant. Learn more at ibm.com/assistant. IBM, let's create.
Okay, so true story, I was scared to try tampons because I didn't know if they'd be able to protect like pads. Took me a few tries, but once inserted properly, tampons shouldn't hurt. If you feel it, it's not in far enough. Believe me, it changed my life. Like pads, tampons offer up to 100% leak-free protection, whether you're on the go or chilling at home. Now, I do and wear whatever I want on my period, thanks to the freedom and flexibility I get with adding Tampax to my routine. Learn more at Tampax.com.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Flying solo this evening, back to talk a little Packers as the Green Bay Packers got back on the practice field earlier today. So we're going to go through all the notes from practice. Got a few players that were back from injury and things looking up from a health standpoint for the Packers. It sounds like all 53 players were participating in some manner today as far as the active 53-man roster goes. So we're going to dive into all that. Want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Ron Sample, we got Greg in the house, United Bates, Michael Redden, Mr. Goat, and looks like Mountain Man Pack. Some others filing in here. Good to see everybody. Hope y'all had an awesome Sunday afternoon. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and give a quick surprise. My man Jacob in the house. How you doing, bub?
What's up? How's everybody doing?
We're doing great, man. Just got started, getting cranked up here on a Sunday evening. Got a lot of Packers news to talk about. Really excited about what we got lined up tonight, man. How was your weekend? Everything good?
Oh, it was a lot, man. Birthday was Friday, and then Labor Day, and it was a lot. Today, I basically tried to just take it easy, and then I called you, Clayton. I called you this afternoon, and you did not answer. And I called to ask, should I buy this NCAA game? Do you think I'm going to like it?
Oh,
spend $70 on it. And I'm not going to lie to you, Clayton. I don't know if I don't like it or if I just suck.
You suck. You suck.
Well, I know I suck. I haven't played NCAA football for obviously years since it was last out, but I'm not good at video games, man. And there's too much going on. They got new game modes and tokens and freaking XP.
Yeah. You got to ignore all that. What you got to do is jump into Play Now, all right, and just get used to everything. Play a couple games, and then jump right into Dynasty mode. And
I'm in Dynasty mode.
You're going to be lost on recruiting. Got any questions? Shoot them on our text thread. Emilio will help you with it. He's rebuilding a couple of scrub teams right now, I'm sure. So his alma mater, Buffalo. Shout out to the scrubs at Buffalo. But anyway. Yeah, it's a cool game, man. And I'll tell you, it's popular. It's driven more conversation in sports talk in the last, whatever month, 2 months it's been out now than any game I've ever heard of. It's hilarious watching people react. Have you watched Boston Connor's YouTube channel lately? Have you seen that?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so Boston Connor, you know who he is. He's on the Pat McAfee show, right? He's one of the two Toxic Table members there. He literally named it Pretty Much Sports is the name of his YouTube channel. And it's just him being a head coach on that college football game, dude. It is hilarious. He's already won like a couple national titles. He's probably playing on the easiest level. It is hilarious. So you get a chance, check it out. But
yeah.
I'm
pretty sure I can't even remember which team I was. It was like one of the really bad teams in Florida, 1 star. So I'm bringing that freaking franchise back, baby.
There you go, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, for me, it's I jumped in with Notre Dame for a bit, and I jumped back over to Kentucky and just trying both teams out. I play on Heisman, so I'm a geek, like I'm a nerd. It's got to be realistic, it's got to be so realistic that I'm pissed off after every game, even if I won. I'm just like so frustrated. So
you play on Heisman?
Yeah, I play on Heisman low. Yeah, same thing with Madden. I play on all Madden. I'm mad, but that's people don't know this, but I went to a couple Madden tourneys for the Madden Championship and stuff, and made it. The tournament in Atlanta, I made it to the Final Four, the one in Atlanta, and just a nerd in that regard. But anyway, let's jump into some Packers talk, and first of all, let's hop into some NFL talk too. I know everybody's in the chat already lighting it up. Appreciate you marking those, Jacob. And first things first, I thought this was cool to dive into, man. To look at the NFL as a whole here, Week 1 schedule for the NFL. Obviously, Thursday night we're getting kicked off with Ravens Chiefs. That's going to be a dandy. I mean, two MVPs going at it. Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs got a great defense. Baltimore's always got a great defense. How will they do without Mike McDonald? That's going to be the big question. Will they just pick up where they left off, or will it be they begin to struggle? Then obviously on Friday night's the most important game of the week, Packers and Eagles, and it sounds like they are flying on out to on Wednesday, I think it is, Jacob. So they are traveling down. That's happening. That's a full go. I know many people were talking about rumors with the wildfires and other things going on that they may not go, but they're definitely going to Brazil. But some of these other games I want to look at, man. The Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears games got me kind of hyped. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. That's the one I'll be tuned in at 1 o'clock. Because obviously the Bears, we want to see how they're going to do now that we're in regular season play and see how Caleb Williams looks. And another thing, too, we're going to be playing the Titans here early in the season. What is it, week 3, I think, if I remember correctly? That's the game that me and Emilio will be in the house for. So I'm eager to see a little bit of scouting on the Titans and also how the Bears going to look there. So that's the game that catches my attention in the 1 o'clock hour. And then, of course, you got your second favorite team, Jacob, the Minnesota Vikings at the New York Giants at 1 o'clock. You'll be rooting against them for that game. I'm sure you'll have that in your market, right?
Oh yeah, always in my market. So I'll definitely be watching that. There's a chance I think possibly. Oh no, there won't be. But I have ways of watching certain things if I'd like to. I pay for it. No, I don't. I would honestly say, do you think that it's fair to say that this is the way that they've scripted it? And again, kind of pepper bombed it for a Thursday, a Friday, and then obviously your opening Sunday. This is like the most exciting opening weekend, and they're doing a real good job of stretching it. I swear, if there was a way to make 7 days of NFL football work, I would do it. But
I'd be all about it, man.
I don't know logistically how you would make it work. It probably could work if you extended the season and gave guys more time off. Yeah. You know what I mean? In between games, you could highlight 1 or 2 games a night. Oh, yeah. Don't get me excited. I would just
to each their own. But I'm really surprised at how many people are against that. They're like, I don't want football on every night of the week. I'm going to give it to me every single night. Let's go. Are you kidding me?
I wish we could flip that.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, no, let's don't do that. Okay? As soon as it came out of my mouth, that's what she said.
707, Emilio, you can find that.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the games that kind of catch my attention. Jaguars Dolphins might be pretty good. We'll see how the Jaguars look. Then you get into the 4 o'clock hour. You get Raiders Chargers. Obviously, that's going to be Jim Harbaugh's debut there with the Chargers as new head coach, again going up against the Raiders. You got the Broncos, Seahawks. You got the Cowboys and the Browns. Will the Browns be good? Is Deshaun Watson finally healthy, right? We'll see how that goes. Cowboys, man, everybody in Dallas has got a lot of pressure on them, especially Mike McCarthy, I should say. And then, of course, you got Washington and Tampa Bay there, one of the late 4:25 Eastern kickoffs. So for the Sunday Night Football game of the week, you've got the L.A. Rams at the Detroit Lions. We will all be tuned into that, obviously, to root against the Detroit Lions. I'd love to see them come out and just fall flat on their face week 1. That would be absolutely awesome. And then, of course, Monday Night Football, man, Aaron Rodgers going into San Francisco. I love these type of games with Aaron where you can actually root for Aaron and, especially against someone like San Francisco. But it's going to be fun to see if he's back to full form or if he's starting to taper off in his age. But anything else you want to add there to that schedule? Anything catch your attention?
I think Sunday night game could be a really sneaky, really indicator of like where the Rams at. Are the Lions about to continue them being an ascending team for once in the last 30 years, or are they going to fall off back into obscurity? Another one I'd probably be I'm interested in that Cardinals Bills for the same reason. Like, are the Bills going to take a massive step back because they seemingly lost some weapons and have kind of regressed a bit. And does like a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. make any difference on a Cardinal team? You know, do they come out with like a crazy exploding offense sort of thing? So I think there's a lot of really great. I mean, what's the worst game that you just don't care about? Because I'm trying to figure that out right now. It'd probably be Broncos Seattle for me. I just don't care.
Anything in a dome, I'd rather throw up on my shoes than watch, man. So the Panthers and the Saints doesn't really pique my interest at all. But now the Texans and the Colts, that's interesting because it's C.J. Stroud against the Colts. That's most likely Anthony Richardson, to the best of my knowledge, he'll be starting that game. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch there. That's really the only one. The big stinker there on the list for me is Panthers Saints. I could care less. So let's go to the chat real quick. We've got a bunch of people in here hanging out. Love this. CJN says, doing double duty, watching PTA and drafted in the PTA Fantasy League. Let's go. So the goal is, if I don't forget here, is Carly Ray is going to send over a screen grab of the first round results from our PTA fantasy football draft tonight, which is going to be awesome. We were going to try to get it on the screen in real time and just check in from time to time, but we'll try to get some updates in that regard. So good luck tonight, CJN. Hope you knock it out of the park, buddy. Jay in the chat says, Jacob needs to create a future Green Bay for a D3 school. Human meat missile there.
There you go. I was going to say, don't tell me you forgot what that means.
I love it, man. That's taking on a lot of its own. We got to put that on some merch for sure. And we'll just do HMM, and everybody will know what it means, right?
Just hashtag
when you're at the bar
HMM.
and somebody, when you're at the bar and somebody says, hey, what's HMM mean? You go, sit down. Let me tell you. So, Jay in the chat said, create a Christian Welch and have him make the Green Bay 53. Too early? Man, I'll tell you this. I cranked up my franchise earlier today, and he was on my roster. I kept him. And I was like, man, started playing some sad music in the background. Christian Welch, the one that got away. It's funny, man. Every preseason, every training camp, Jacob, there's a player that Packer fans they absolutely adore, and it never fails. They get cut. You know, like you think of back in the day. You remember Jeff Janis? Jeff Janis was an absolute legend.
I was going to say, yeah, or Touchdown Jesus.
Who was it?
Jake Kumaro, baby.
That's right, yeah.
Come on
Hey,
now.
wasn't he one of the Bosa's cousins? Am I thinking right?
That is, I believe, true, and I think he's actually still on the Bills roster the last time I saw, so.
God, it feels like a lifetime ago. It was really 2 years ago, though. What?
Yeah, pretty close.
Absolutely awesome. All right, Ron Samble in the chat said Tucker is more intense in a locker room interview than most guys are on the field. We got a soundbite from that, Ron. We're going to hit on, man. I'm excited for y'all to hear it. Tucker Kraft's a man on a mission. There's no doubt about that. Jay says, when is Tom Brady broadcasting? I believe, if I remember correctly, it's the Cowboys-Browns game, but I could be wrong. Typically, it's a 4:00 game on Fox, which gets the A team. So I think that will be Tom Brady's debut there. If anybody else knows in the chat, post it in there, and we'll get Jacob to mark it as we go along here. But, so another comment here in the chat. Ron Sample says, okay, all you Western Wisconsin cheeseheads, who knows Braden Narvison's in-laws, ? And this is why he's asking this. Did you see the interview, Jacob?
No, but I heard, I didn't see it, but I heard remnants that the guy basically, so he grew up like 10 minutes away from me. All right, let's do it.
Here's what he had to say. It's just a 30-second clip from Matt
his wife.
Schneidman.
The wife did. Okay.
Yeah. This was from Matt Schneidman on Twitter. Here's what he had to say.
It's a dream. It's a dream. I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm going to do everything in my power to get 1% better day after day after day. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go out there and try to make kicks. And that's my job. That's what I get paid to do. And so that's what I'm going to do.
Does it come with pressure?
Yeah, everything does. And if somebody tells you they're not nervous, there's no pressure. They're lying to you or they don't care, in my opinion. I think there's always pressure. Pressure is a privilege, in my opinion. Pressure means that you've done the right things at the right time to show everybody how hard you've worked. That's how I feel about it.
So I thought it would be in the soundbite. Evidently it wasn't. But here's what Matt Schneidman tweeted out. New Packers kicker Braden Narvison on this opportunity, quote, it's a dream. Narvison added, my wife grew up here in Prescott, Wisconsin. They're all Packer fans, so it's really, really surreal. They were super excited. So this dude's got all the reasons in the world, every reason in the world to come in and try to do well. And I think it's awesome that immediately Jair Alexander got his back. You know, he put that soundbite out there and hey, he went to LaFleur like, I really like this dude. There was someone else that walked behind him while he was kicking or something. Oh, no, it was while I was at his locker, I believe. You see our friend Paul Brettel back there in the background, too.
Hey, look at Paul.
Nice. Got prime positioning back there. But somebody walked by his locker and was, like, bragging on him, too, shouting while they were interviewing him. So I love that the team's getting behind him because, man, it's a real thing, isn't it, Jacob? Like, the main thing with kicking is it's pressure, it's mental toughness.
I was going to say
just being able to be consistent with that swing, right?
Yeah, definitely the loneliest position, I think, in maybe of all of NFL sports, just because you have individual sports like boxing or, anything that's one-on-one, you know what you're getting into, but it's where you have, and it's on you if you lose. But if you go out there and you lose for 52 other men and a whole team and a whole city and a training staff and coaching staff, like he said, and I really respect his honesty, because I think that I've watched a lot of kickers give I won't compare it to anybody that lately is bad at doing interviews, but maybe somebody that uses a lot of like hyperbolic stuff and doesn't get into stuff, or maybe pushes out an ego or a confidence that you can tell they just don't really have. He was really upfront. He's like, yeah, dude, like you're going to get nervous. It's the NFL, you're kicking games on the line at most or a lot of points. And I just think that he showed himself to be the type of player. I always go back to this. You guys know, if he had a good person rating, he seems like he knocks it out of the park. And I bet you the interview between him and Anders and maybe one other or two other kickers completely cemented the deal, because when you talk to that kid, that's a Packer.
The land down under has never been easier to reach. United Airlines has more flights between the U.S. and Australia than any other U.S. airline, so you can fly nonstop to destinations like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Explore dazzling cities, savor the very best of Aussie cuisine, and get up close and personal with the wildlife. Who doesn't want to hold a koala? Go to united.com/Australia to book your adventure.
Summer. It's a feeling. Discover it for yourself at the Lincoln Summer Invitation. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 60 months on the 2024 Lincoln Navigator at your local Lincoln retailer. Not all buyers will qualify for Lincoln Automotive Financial Services APR financing. 60-month at $60.67 per month per $1,000 financed, regardless of down payment. Place a new retailer order or take new retail delivery from an authorized Lincoln retailer stock by September 2nd, 2024. See retailer for residency restrictions, qualifications, and details.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Yeah,
that's just 100% a Packer. And yeah,
he seems humble. He really does, man. I'm excited to see him kick. How cool would it be if it came down to a game-winning field goal and he nails it down there in Brazil? That's the way to get your career started, right? Now I hope we boat race him by 20. Don't get me wrong, but we do have a poll question up here on YouTube tonight, and what I had asked the listeners was, which Packers player are you most excited to see make their debut with the team? The choices were Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Morgan, and Javon Bullard. Right now, as the poll sits, Josh Jacobs leads the way at 53%. Xavier McKinney is in second at 39%. Javon Bullard third at 8%. And Jordan Morgan has not got a vote yet. So somebody hop in there and give Jordan Morgan a vote, please. Okay. I know it's silly to put an offensive lineman out there, but I got to be real, man. If he plays, I think I'm most excited about watching him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he'd probably be last on my list just because – I hope that they don't just force him out there. At this point, I don't want to lose a game because, and if you guys don't forget, if I'm not mistaken, the interior defensive line, the whole defensive line for Philly is pretty darn good. So I would hate that we lose a game because of a right guard versus like just, whatever situation you could talk about. Aaron Rodgers, thanks for showing up again. He says, I voted Jacobs in the poll because I feel like he hears the comments on how the Packers made a mistake letting Jones go. I'm expecting a big game from Jacobs. So you think he has a chip on his shoulder. And imagine taking over for a guy that's absolutely beloved, that got basically kicked out of town with the fan base not really being excited about it. Jacobs does have a massive shoes to fill, both in the community and on the field. And I think that he's taken it really well, because I think I saw a report out there that the dude was basically offered multi-millions more to go to like New York or some other markets. But he said, no, one of it was because of taxes. And the other one was basically like, I want to go to a team where I'm going to help him, or I believe we can win kind of thing. Or he just seems, again, like a Packer. He seems like some of these guys we don't draft, but for whatever reason, they fluctuate and sort of gravitate at some point to the Green Bay Packers organization. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I really do. All right, let's do this. Let's get into some practice talk here, man. So Rob Domofsky had tweeted out, and I'll just kind of let this loop for a second. Just a video here from practice. It says, running back Marshawn Lloyd hamstring has returned to practice. All 53 players on the roster were on the grass as game week commenced. The Packers will practice here today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, then fly to Brazil on Wednesday. So obviously they're heading out on Wednesday over to Brazil, and we should have practice updates, like he said, tomorrow and Tuesday. So it's going to be a busy couple of days as they get their work in, and we bring you all of the details, all of the information there. Jacob, it's absolutely awesome that all 53 players, right, were on the practice field today, man. That's got to make you feel a lot better about this week 1 matchup against Philly.
Yeah, it does, definitely. And we all kind of hemmed and hawed over the preseason about like, oh, they should be starting these many snaps or that many reps or this many quarters. And I think that's fair discussion to absolutely have at that point. But I don't know if I remember an offseason in recent history where we had 53 out of 53 ready to go to the point where it's like, and I think that's a massive feather in our cap, say, to be doing something a little bit adversarial in week 1, doing a 10-hour plane ride, going to a different country, going to a arguably, depending on who you ask, kind of situation over there for a number of reasons. And yeah, I just it's good to know that we're going in with a full force. The Army is intact, and I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, definitely. And Matt Schneidman had tweeted this out. Jordan Love to Josh Jacobs, could be seeing a lot of that this season. I love that they kind of kept Josh Jacobs' legs fresh, through preseason. I'm excited to watch this guy run. He's going to have something to prove. There's no doubt about that. Really, really excited to see how they deploy him. Is he just going to are they going to do more of that 11 personnel empty look where they flex him out at the T? I think they will. I think they'll pick right up where they left off, where Jones did that. And I think, honestly, he's got a chance to be more effective than Aaron Jones definitely last year in the passing game. If you guys and gals would take a quick second, we got a bunch of people following in here. Just take a second, hit that like button for us. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you like Packers content, feel free to sub to the channel. We will be live all year long, multiple shows a day. In most cases, we'll be doing pregame shows, postgame shows, chalk talks, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate y'all swinging through. So one thing that got tweeted out here too, Paul Brettel had kind of reinforced there, all 53 players on the roster practicing today, including Marshawn Lloyd and Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard, we've kind of stopped talking about it a little bit, Jacob, but I think he's your backup left tackle. It's nice to know that shoulder is healthy and he's good to go. If for some reason Rasheed Walker breaks a chin strap or something, he's come out for a few snaps,
Yeah. I'm a very humble, obviously you guys know I'm a very, I don't have an ego. I don't ever brag. I'm probably the most humble guy you've ever met in your life. But I will say, I questioned Andre Dillard, and I put a lot of smoke on him. I did. And I'll admit that I was wrong, that I think that he will be at least a sufficeable backup left tackle. And to the point where I don't want to put any money on that necessarily, but I've been proved wrong just by what he's done in practice and going against, decent reps here and there and actually showing what he can do. I was worried about what he had, kind of like a shoulder stinger. Wasn't that kind of the designation for a while or something like that? So I don't know if that's going to affect him in any way. Hopefully we don't even have to worry about seeing the guy, like you said, unless there's, and you know what, hopefully it's garbage time. We're winning by like 45 in the fourth quarter, and we get to see Dillard just, go out there and make the Philly D-line look like crap, which I know is not going to be great. Ron commented on that earlier when we were talking. He said Philly's D-line is definitely their strength. So, I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah. If we have time, we may jump into a little bit of that and look at the lineup and everything and take a look. If not, we'll carry it into tomorrow. Do you got an hour 20 in you tonight, Jacob, or no? That's a no. That's okay. It's a no, because I've already done a show earlier today. I'm cool with just a normal show. We'll just roll with that. So here's a cool video from Ryan Wood on Twitter. Rookie Marshawn Lloyd strapped in pass for the first time since injuring his hamstring in the preseason opener at Cleveland. My man looks like he's got good bursts. He looks completely healthy, Jacob. I think we're ready to go, man. I'm excited to see what he does in this game. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. Obviously, you hate to see anybody go out with an injury, like A.J. Dillon did. He's out for the year. But this is Marshawn Lloyd's chance to kind of capitalize on that. I'm eager to see if he gets as many or more carries than Emmanuel Wilson too.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at him right now, it feels like his top half is way better built than the lower. And you're going to clip that too.
What are you trying to say, Jake?
I'm just saying I want him to have a little bit bigger legs. And take it from me. This is from somebody that's got
those thick legs.
I got little toothpick legs myself. I was mostly an upper body guy myself, but I don't know. He has, from the clips and stuff that I watched, he's obviously got deceptive speed, but I saw at times deceptive power. But I dare not compare him to like an Aaron Jones, because that guy to this day, he was so great at being elusive and just randomly flowing and slipping through holes that you never thought he'd get through. But he was also like, he wasn't a scat back. He wasn't just an elusive back. He would lay the wood on you. If he had to hit a hole, like, and get you 2 yards, he was not shying away from contact. So I hope that Lloyd is that similar type of back, where even though he's a little more flashy, a little more quick on his feet, elusive, that he still knows when to lower the shoulder and lay the boom.
Mm-hmm. United Bates in the chat said, early scouting report out of Philly, talk radio and fans. They don't think our D is that good, especially against the run. I can't disagree with that. And I think it was somebody else said in the chat here, until we prove otherwise, right? Is it what I always want to say weed. Is that right?
That's weed.
That's weed. Not that kind of weed, you knuckleheads. Get your head out of the gutter. But Packers defense is bad against the run until they show otherwise, but I hope they actually do that. Again, I've watched football for a long time, and the strength of a 34 defense is it's supposed to be more effective against the run. That's not me talking. That's people like Mark Tauscher, Brian Bulaga talking. It's harder to run block against the 34 front. We switch to a 4-3. All signs point to the run defense will probably get a little worse than it was last year. Now, I was pretty vocal in the offseason. We went back through and watched the tape and everything. The run defense got a little bit better this year than the previous year. So maybe we go back to that 2022 form. Could be the case. The thing that struggled last year, we took a dip in, was actually EPA on pass coverage. So it took a little bit of a dip. I think that's going to improve tremendously. But the key is going to be controlling the explosive plays. And that's one of the negatives of a 43 front and playing that one gap approach out of those base defense snaps. So we'll see. My big thing is, first things first, win the turnover battle. What Matt LaFleur talks about, win the ball, right? Win the turnover differential. Make sure you're positive in that regard. It gives you a good chance of winning. Control the middle late. I know you guys have heard this 1,000 times from me. And then the other thing would be control the explosive plays. Those three aspects are the most important aspects to winning ball games. It doesn't mean if you win all three, it's a guarantee to win the game. But if you win all three of those, Jacob, you're in the upper 90 percentile of chances of winning the ball game. So got to protect the football. If Jordan comes out, protects the football like he did last year. Here's the thing. You go out, you get out, you want to control their running game, get out to an early lead. That's how you do it, right? Start to take them out of running situations by building an early lead, go up by 7, go up by 10 points, and force them to pass the football. I would much rather Jalen Hurts try to beat me through the air than he and Saquon Barkley beating me on the ground, if that makes sense.
That actually goes into Jay's comment. Just maybe reiterate on that. It says, Jay says, I think I'm more worried about Jalen Hurts' scrambling ability and losing us gap integrity / bad pursuit angles, which is, if you've watched any Packer games for your career, for your life, that always seems to be in the big games. We go against a scrambling or even a decent running quarterback that could just waddle up through the edge rushers that over pursue, or maybe they drop a coverage or whatever the case is. It just seems that we have been cursed since the days of Mike Vick and what's his freaking face, Mr. Nealer.
What's his freaking face, he said.
It's tough. Yeah,
it is, man. It is. And you can't be great at everything, man. You know, when you game plan against a team, whether it's on offense or defense, you're taking one thing away, but most of the time you're giving something else up, right? And it's a perfect example. Yeah, Danny DeVito from last year.
I just picture Danny actually like the human bowling ball being like, all right.
Yeah, and that's exactly, if you go back and watch that game and then you watch the rest of the season, you could tell that our defense made an adjustment. Like, we got to stop being aggressive rushing upfield on the outside. because he did, man. It's so obvious that the Giants and Brian Daboll, seen on previous tape, they probably went and watched our 4-game saturation, and they said, you know what? When you drop back to pass, if they get aggressive on that edge out of those wide 9 looks, just step up in the pocket and take off, because they're going to be playing match on the backside, which is essentially man coverage if you show vert. So all you got to do, give a 3 vert look with an underneath option, maybe a little chip and a leak underneath, and those 3 verts, let them walk that match coverage out. If you key in on that edge being too aggressive on the outside, and it was both Gary and Preston Smith, step up in the pocket and take off, and that's how they burned us. It was. Now, don't get me wrong, he was making people like Savage and Keyshawn Nixon, he was literally making them miss tackles, which was just so damn embarrassing. But, again, that's what comes back to what we always talk about, how the Packers scout. They're looking for elite athletes, not necessarily good tacklers. I know it's not that simple, that cut and dry, but it does come into factor for sure.
I think we see the Packers' first pick of the 2025 season. The Packers will be selecting Danny DeVito with nose tackle.
Oh, God. You talk about
out of Philly.
low center of gravity right there, Jacob. My gosh.
That's what we'd say. He's got good pad level.
Yeah. Getting the
plus if he greases himself up.
Yeah. If he gets in the 3-point stance, his belly button's dragging the turf. There ain't no doubt about that. Belly button's just so funny to say. Let's see. Wes Hawkins did say LaFleur on Marshawn Lloyd, quote, "We'll give him the week as he progresses. Certainly we'll be smart with him. He was limited today." So there is a chance that he's got kind of a light workload on him down there in Brazil. And we'll move on now. But it just makes me feel really good knowing we got Emmanuel Wilson. I think he'll do just fine. I really do. And that defensive front is solid. There's no doubt about it. So right here, Tom Silverstein tweeted out, new Packers quarterback Malik Willis gets some reps in. So obviously he's out there practicing, getting more acclimated to the offense, all that good stuff. Tom Silverstein also tweeted out, LaFleur said that Malik Willis took some of the scout team reps today. He split them with Sean Clifford. How they practice will determine which one will be the backup on Friday night. So they're still undecided. They're going to use these today's practice and the next 2 days of practice to determine, is Malik ready to be the backup or do we roll with Sean Clifford? How do you feel about it, Jake? If you had to choose right now, I mean, obviously if Malik Willis had a good grab of the offense, I think you would go with Willis, and so would I. But who do you think they'll go with as of right now? Man, that's a very short amount of time for Malik Willis to learn this offense, right?
Yeah, that's an extremely short amount of time for him to just – it's a really short amount of time. I don't think that within – what has he had? A quarter of a practice for reps, like 3 days?
Right.
I don't feel like that – I don't know. Unless his natural ability, which I can believe because I've seen what he can do, you know what I mean? And if it's just maybe a cookie cutter or a very vanilla type offense that we implement, and you have to imagine that LaFleur and the front office and the coaching staff, they're not just going to be like, well, we're going to keep the same playbook if Love goes down and we're just going to throw Malik in and it's just going to work. So they're obviously probably have some sort of contingency plan where they say, okay, if God forbid Love does go down, this is the playbook that Malik, we need you to show us that you have mastered. Maybe it's 20 plays, 25 plays, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So something where it's just like, if we have to break glass in case of emergency, that we at least know that you can handle it mentally. I think the physical part isn't a question. But I do think that, what's the point of having Clifford, keeping him, retaining him, drafting him, if you're not going to actually use him in these situations? So it could go either way for me.
Yeah, no, I understand, man. I understand completely. So we'll see how that shakes out. We'll keep our eye on the practice reports. Maybe Matt LaFleur will tip his hand a time or two as well. But since we're talking quarterback, let me make sure I didn't miss any other grabs here. We'll get to that here in a second. We'll actually wrap up the show with it. We got a couple questions from the Patreon listeners. So, all right, let's go rapid fire. Here's Jordan Love in the locker room earlier today. And, so he was just basically asked about the responsibilities of the backup quarterback, right? And kind of what goes into doing that. You guys know I've been pretty vocal. I got roasted for it a couple times too. Yeah, you'll hear me say that from time. I get roasted all the time, man. Most people who do a Packers podcast, they kind of hide on Twitter. They don't respond to people. They don't engage. I engage.
We do.
Yeah. I engage with people who aren't rude. Like if you want to have a disagreement or a conversation, man, I'm all about it. But if you just come at me and tell me I'm stupid, all right, man, that's cool. We'll pretend like you don't exist, hit block, and fire you off into the sunset. All right. That's the way that works. But one of the things I've talked about is how the backup quarterback kind of acts as a personal assistant to the starting quarterback, right? And some people hear that and they're like, what do you mean? Is he tying their cleats? Is he getting them water? What are you talking about? No, I'm talking about preparation. Jordan Love and the starting quarterback's only one person, right? So they can only watch so much tape. They can only watch, take so many notes and all that. You know, Aaron Rodgers did this for Brett Favre too, even though they didn't have the best of a working friendship. And I do air quotes for friendship early on in his career, but he would take Brett his notes at the, before game day and say, here's what I picked up on their defense. So that's something that goes on. But here's how Jordan Love kind of answered that question when he was asked about the backup quarterbacks and their role on a team.
What does it be like today or game day?
For them, you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, no, I mean, the backup role, and you do so many things during the week. You make DB reports, you kind of fill out the depth chart in the room, things like that. And, and then at the same time, you're trying to get yourself ready to play as well. So, learn everything that's going in this week, game plan wise, and then helping out, doing whatever you got to do to get some more tips on the defense, any tells you can find, things like that.
Jacob, that'd be a pretty darn cool job, man, to be the backup quarterback and be able to kind of your sole job is watching tape and helping provide information for the starter. Dude, I can't throw a football. I can actually throw a football pretty decent, but nowhere near well enough to play at any level of football. But man, you talk about taking a role to heart, dude. That would be absolutely awesome, getting in there and kind of being a head scout for your starting QB. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, that's the only problem is that you need to have the physical ability if you did get called in. So whereas I'd be real good with all the other stuff, I think, once it came down to throwing a ball, this torn rotator cuff ain't going past 10 yards, guys. Sorry. But I just think it's cool to see his progression. And I believe that they premised that with asking, Love looks like he's on right there. He's on that Emilio sauce.
He got a hold of a gummy or something. I don't know what's going on over there.
No, but really though, he does seem like he's understood the progression. And to be honest, that's crazy because we always see, now that you bring that up, Clayton, the quarterbacks go with the quarterbacks in the off when they're not in the middle of a drive or when they throw a pick or even when they throw a touchdown. You see them all three or whatever, how many. It's usually about two or three quarterbacks, and one of them is digging through a book. If it's Rodgers or one of the other play quarterbacks, they're probably just staring off like they're either mad or they're happy as heck, right, just sitting there kind of giving daps, dapping people up. But it's the other two guys you see there. One's got a headset on, one's on the phone, one's blowing through freaking, highlights and stuff. And it was just interesting because I never actually did think about that is probably a massive part of it. And people wonder why would you actually draft Sean Clifford in the 5th round if you don't actually need him, plan on him starting? Well, because of the fact that he played like 5 years there and had most snaps, most passing, most all this. So he knows how to play the quarterback role to a point of almost maybe better than your just athletic kind of unmolded quarterback. It made all the sense in the world now that we think about it. And look where he is. I would almost bet, I'd guess 70-30, if not 80-20, that Clifford's going to be the guy specifically because of the things he's going to see in the depth or in any of those schematics, any of the off-field adjustments, any of the pre-scouting stuff. He's going to be looking for that. And he's going to be there, and he's been there for a year plus now. So I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here's Gummy Jordan. This was another clip from that interview in the locker room where he was asked about the difficulties he would face in week 1 of the regular season and having to prepare for a new defensive coordinator.
Do you not really know what they're going to throw at you, no matter how much film you study or whatever, just what's the challenge?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Week 1 is always is, and then you add on top of that new defense coordinator. So, we're watching a lot of film from where they came from, the Dolphins, and a lot of different stuff where, you got to remember, we're not playing some of the DBs that we might be watching on film, some of the guys and the Dolphins, things like that. So it's definitely tough. And then you add that part where you just don't know what they're going to do this year, if they might be, doing some new things defensively that we haven't seen in the past. So a lot of unknowns. So, you kind of just got to trust the rules of the game plan and kind of go out there, take that opening drive to get a feel. Like we don't even know who might be out there, DB wise, front seven. So just taking that opening drive to get a feel for what their, blitz flavor of the days might be and kind of how they're trying to play us.
All right. So there you go. Obviously, we kind of talked about that earlier in the week, Jacob, where when you've got a new defensive coordinator and even on offense, when we looked at it from Jeff Hafley's perspective and the fact that they've got a new offensive coordinator, you don't know exactly what they're going to run there. Jordan was talking about they went back and watched some of the Miami Dolphins tape because Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator in Miami last year. Now he's with Philly. So you kind of get a little blend of that. You try to learn their personnel. You also pointed out we don't even know who their DBs are going to be because they've got a couple of rookies, if I remember correctly, that when we pulled up the preview, they didn't even have scores because they obviously haven't played a snap in the NFL. You don't know how they're going to adjust, how they're going to play. Quinyon Mitchell, I believe, if I remember correctly, is a rookie that they picked up. That was my best corner in the draft.
Did they get Quinyon and Coop?
Yeah, but Cooper DeJean's not healthy, though.
He's hurt. Yeah, but I'm just, like you said, there's still a lot of stuff up in the air in that secondary.
Yeah, I had Quinyon Mitchell as the top corner in the draft on my board, and he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He was the 9th overall prospect. So this dude should be a day one starter. We talked about him. He played at a smaller school in Toledo, but, man, he absolutely dominated the Senior Bowl and all that. I think he's a solid player. But when you scheme up a good game plan, it doesn't matter how good the player is. As long as you read the defense properly, there's a hole in every defense, right? People were going, there were multiple holes in Joe Barry's defense. I understand, but there's always going to be a weak spot. And like he was saying, it's just go out there, trust the game plan, because what Matt has done is like what Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay have done. I'm gonna do this visualization one day because I know exactly what they're talking about. I've heard that explained before. But if you go listen to the Play Callers podcast again, it talks. Jordan Rodriguez talks about and describes Kyle Shanahan on a board with multiple colors on this glass board, right? And what he did was drew up like cover 3 defense, and you could see where the holes were. So he would do like a cover 3 in a red pen.
Oh yeah.
Right? And then he would go, okay, how do we attack that with a cover 3? Here's the passing concept that attacks that, all right? And then he'd take a blue pen and go, okay, if they're in cover 2, he would draw that up, right? Where are the holes there? Okay, it's right there. Bang. So now you know where the hole is in conjunction with both of those defenses. So now you try to draw up a passing concept that's going to maximize the opportunity to hit that window and walk people out of certain zones when you may be facing 2 different coverages. And that's where it comes down to, as long as you understand the rules of what you're reading,